Good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Suderline from the Virginia Senate, and appreciate you joining us today for the Joint Subcommittee on Block Grants. First, we'll make sure that we establish quorum, and if our clerk will go through the roll.
Delegate Krizik,
Here.
Delegate Adams, Delegate Guzman, Delegate McNamara, here. Delegate Walker, present. Senator Suderline,
Yes.
Senator Lucas,
Here.
Senator Eben,
Here.
Senator Bell, here. Senator Kiggins. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And so right now we have Senator Lucas joining us through Zoom. Is there anyone else that joined us through Zoom in the roll call?
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator Lucas.
I was trying for about an hour to get through the monitor Merrimack, and it was completely blocked. And so there was no way I was going to make it. So I turned around, thought I'd do better if I just try to get on virtual.
Well,
Sorry, I'm not there in person, but I tried.
We appreciate you participating today. And so if anyone hears questions and they can't see who's asking them, it means Senator Lucas is going to ask you a question. And Delegate Guzman has just joined us as well. So we're about to get started with our business. This subcommittee is different than a lot of other entities we have here. This subcommittee is the result of General Assembly action about a generation ago in response to a federal requirement that the legislative body of each state hold public hearings when considering block grants. And so today we are going to consider the block grant proposal. We're going to hear from Commissioner Avula in a minute there, but that's what we're doing here today. We're going to try to go quickly. We have the written testimony. Reading written testimony will not be viewed favorably by the subcommittee. We were able to review that already. And so when we have the speakers later, we hope that you will just give us a summary to refresh our mind of what we've already read and what you'd like us to see. I think we also started off very favorably inclined towards the plan. So keep in mind, the only thing that can happen is things could go the wrong way. So appreciating that situation, I hope we will now start with an overview of the Commonwealth's Community Service Block Grant State Plan. We're going to hear from Dr. Danny Avula, the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Social Services. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. I got to know some of you in the throes of vaccine distribution, and really pleased to be here in another capacity as Commissioner of Social Services. And really, just thank you for making the trip here in the middle of summer, not in the middle of session, and hopefully you've doubled up your visits in Richmond with other business that has to be done, and if not, I'm doubly thankful for making the trip. But I just want to talk a little bit about the Community Services Block Grant State Plan and our connection as a state agency, DSS, with our incredible partners in community action, many of whom the directors and board members are here in this room. So, one of the themes that you'll hear a lot from me is, certainly as you hopefully read through the plan or read through the comments, is the deep connection between the state agency of the Department of Social Services, the nonprofit sector represented by community action, and community members themselves, because all of us are in this to help stabilize communities, help create economic opportunity for communities, and that has to be done in that tripartite partnership between community residents, government, and nonprofit. And so that's a lot of what this state plan kind of unfolds. So as you know, the plan does allocate dollars, these community service block grant dollars, to 28 local community action agencies and 3 statewide community action agencies, so 31 nonprofits that do community action and are part of this statewide network, the Virginia Community Action Partnership. And so this plan was developed really in deep partnership between VACAP and us at DSS. There were 3 different sessions for input by community action agencies. And that has resulted in a really robust plan, which you all have looked through. And so I'll just kind of hit the high points here. The dollars from CSBG this year, $11.02 million this fiscal year. And then thanks to you all, there's an additional bucket of TANF dollars that has increased from $7.75 million up to $9.25 million. And so that increase in TANF dollars along with the CSBG dollars really just helps continue and expand the good work that Community Action is doing to help meet federal compliance and most importantly, to help Virginia residents get to economic sustainability. So $11.2 million of CSBG, $9.25 million of TANF money, but recognize that that leverages a total of $176 million to serve citizens of the Commonwealth. So for every dollar of CSBG that goes in, that leverages another $13.95 from federal, state, local, and private philanthropic partnerships. So our community action partners are phenomenal at raising dollars in all sorts of ways to augment what comes through this. I would say one of the highlights of what happens here in Virginia is the way that the Community Services Block Grant is administered really is in, like I said, deep partnership between Community Action and DSS. We work closely with the agencies to really figure out what areas of technical assistance are needed, what joint training plans we need to help fund and help collaborate around. And then we deliver and receive a lot of information from the broader Community Action Network. And we have several different peer groups that we solicit input from. And so that model of, again, community action in the nonprofit sector and DSS is really one that we're nationally recognized for. We've done a lot of good work around the Earned Income Tax Credit. We have local coalitions that help create awareness around the EITC and help families connect with the EITC. In fact, this past year, we were acknowledged by the White House and asked to talk about our EITC work in a national forum to really highlight the good work that Virginia is doing in this space. A few areas that we'll just highlight, three particular areas in the state plan this year. One is a focus on whole family and two-gen approaches. You know, the last decade has just continually seen more and more data that supports a comprehensive look at family units, right? We can no longer kind of serve the individual who comes to a Department of Social Services and determine whether they are eligible for a particular benefit or not. We really need to look at that entire family unit and all of the levers that may be available to help support that family moving forward. So we have been, we're now 2 years into a pilot. We have 6 different agencies that are a part of that pilot. And those agencies have each hired a whole family coach that works directly with families towards that comprehensive self-sufficiency. And by the end of the second year of this pilot, that's 91 households and a total of 223 individuals enrolled in that. And the big outcome we're really proud of is that 26% of those households have achieved an increase in income, earned income during that first 2 years. And that's in the midst of a pandemic. So that's really positive. We're really excited to see what happens with that beyond the scope of this pandemic. And the goal here is that all 31 agencies will end up having one of those whole family coaches embedded in those agencies. Another big focus of the state plan is continuing to improve our scores on the American Customer Satisfaction Index. This is a survey that all of our community action agencies, they get to sound off on how we're doing and how the state plan is working, what they need. We are always looking at this and figuring out how to build off this, but we score really high. We have 5 of the 7 categories are in the exceptional area, so a score of 90 or above. So we, again, are seen as national leaders in this. The national networks often look to Virginia to talk about why this partnership is working so well. One area that we'll really focus on is the understanding of the state plan process. So one of the questions that's asked is how well do stakeholders, so community action agencies, understand the state plan? So we've done a series of webinars and we'll continue to engage our community action and make sure that they're really aligned with what we're doing. And then the third area is around our focus on outcomes. So we use a framework called results-oriented management and accountability, and our staff and the VACAP work really closely together. We have a model where we have Roma certified representatives, and right now we have 30 certified Roma implementers, including one of our staff members at the State Department of Social Services, and then those also are embedded throughout community action. And so, the goal of having certified result-oriented management accountability implementers is that you've got a certain level of expertise around process improvement, quality improvement, strategic planning to really up the game of all of our community action partners. And so that, again, will be a big focus for this upcoming state plan over the next 2 years. So I'll pause there, and this is a time for you all to ask any questions you might have. I've been in the seat about 5 months, so I've brought a whole team of fantastic folks here, Fran Inge, Matt Fitzgerald, and Abby Hanks from the Department of Social Services. So if I can't answer, they certainly will be able to. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. We appreciate the presentation, and we also appreciate all that you did in your prior role as well for the Commonwealth. I know there was strong bicameral, bipartisan appreciation. My friend, Senator Donovan, could never say enough on just what good work you were doing from her medical perspective.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
We're open for questions. Yes, Senator Bell.
I just wanted to echo those comments. Thank you for your service to the Commonwealth. I know you did a couple town halls with me, and you answered every question as honestly and forthright as you could, so I really appreciate it. And thanks for the briefing and your leadership, and appreciate and concur with the chairman's comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Bell. Other members, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Abula, it's always nice to see you. Thank you for your leadership. And now that you're in social services, it's just so great. I will leave it there. But one of the things by working on the human services field and now serving the population, we have realized that there is lack of collection of data. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we hear from agencies, we don't have enough to serve the community. But then when we follow up with the question of how many people are waiting for services, we hear blank. So is part of this process of this position that you want to create could require waiting lists to be created for these programs so we can make an informed decision by the time we're talking about funding or new legislation?
Yeah. Well, certainly the results-oriented management and accountability strategy speaks to more focus on data and making data-driven decisions. Now, the question of how are we improving the collection of that data, I might turn to one of my friends over here. Matt, is that something you know?
So within the results-oriented management and accountability, there's a number of outcomes that are reported to us. And so we do regular training and technical assistance with agencies to ensure, we do an annual review of all information that's submitted to us, and then we do training and technical assistance with each agency to ensure that they are properly collecting, analyzing, using the information to make decisions, and then submitting to us the right information each year. But agencies collect a huge amount of information that isn't reported to us directly for this CSBG, and they have multiple different systems they collect this information in and then have to try to analyze it. So there's been a specific peer group that was created in the network that has 26 agencies that share information regularly to use that information that they collect and try to aggregate and analyze different ways than they have to report on so they can use it for actual outcomes. So it's a constant improvement process, but agencies are working hard on it. We definitely do training and technical assistance around it all the time. And we have peer groups that work together to make sure that they help to advance each other. So I'd say that's probably the best ways that we work on it in a regular way.
And follow-up, Delegate Guzman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If we can ensure in that collection of data that we request the demographics, because I think Dr. Abula, through the pandemic, we realized the amount of services in need in different languages, and as the Commonwealth is becoming incredibly diverse, we want to ensure that all of those services are available for all the residents in the language that they prefer. So would that be included as well?
That's an excellent question. So the information that we collect specifically reporting has demographics information. but it's not everything that you could possibly collect in demographics. So we are looking at different ways to increase the information that agencies collect and use individually, but we don't have an across-the-board requirement that all of them use specific things that are outside of the demographics we collect. So agencies, like we recently did a set of training and technical assistance specifically around building a blueprint in your community to make sure that disadvantaged communities are giving you the information you need to do your needs assessment, as one example. So there's a lot of different training and technical assistance we do in order to make sure that gets better. As far as the information that's submitted directly to us, we have certain demographics, but not everything that you could possibly collect in reporting directly to us. But it's a good point, definitely.
Just one more, and then
And one more question. And when you conclude your remarks, could you just, for the record, state your full name
Sure.
and position and title? Delegate Guzman.
Sure. I think the final question is about, as we're looking, trying to assess the needs of the families, we are going to find out that we have multiple agencies working in silos within the state. And one example could be the Department of Social Services versus the Department of Behavioral and Human Services. So I just hope that as we are moving forward with this position, that we can improve I think the services for family at the end of the day, so they can navigate our systems smoothly. Because I think for a family that is struggling, making ends meet, and they have to fill out an application with the Department of Social Services, but then they are referred to the Community Services Board, they have to go through another eligibility process. So I just hope that we could approach that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and so the whole concept of the whole family approach is that the whole family coach or someone that's working in a whole family manner will take all the needs of a family and work with all partners to make sure they get all of the things they need, not something specifically offered by the agency. So that requires exactly what you're talking about, to make sure that you're working with all the different partners across silos and making sure that you have all of those different knowledges of what's offered by all of your different partnerships. So that's definitely the direction that we want to keep going in, for sure. And my name is Matt Fitzgerald. I'm the Director of the Office of Economic Opportunity at Virginia Department of Social Services.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One thing I may add to that, Delegate Guzman, is as I travel around and visit local departments of social services, I mean, everyone recognizes exactly what you're talking about, that there are multiple levers that can be pulled both within government, like social services, DVHDS, VDH, but then also outside of government. And so I do think the whole family model, and a lot of people are doing really innovative stuff in terms of co-location or co-case management. And so we are holding up those examples and really trying to push practice across the state to be more reflective of that holistic perspective, where it's not just are you eligible for the services that DSS provides, but how do we use every level to help a family move forward?
Thank you for that. Other questions from members? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate that. So we're now on the part of our agenda for stakeholder comment. I appreciate that so many folks sent in written testimony. And like I said before, we definitely do not need to hear that read again, but it would be appreciated if folks that did submit the stakeholder comments would come forward, identify themselves, and just give the briefest of overviews so that you will jog the memories of the panel in case there is a question for you about what they've already read. And we have a order that's been prepared. I believe our first speaker is Eric Johnston, President and CEO of Virginia Community Action Partnership.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm joining you by Zoom today, and I apologize I can't be with you in the committee today. I'm in a COVID quarantine, but I do serve as the President and CEO of VACAP. It's my honor to serve and to be here today and give you a few highlights of my written testimony. The Virginia Community Action Partnership fully endorses and recommends the adoption of the CSBG state plan. Our network feels very fortunate to work with such a collaborative and innovative leader in Commissioner Avula and the whole Virginia Department of Social Services team, especially the Office of Economic Opportunity. We appreciate the investments in our network's efforts to move from poverty to prosperity through the increased TANF investments that you all recently made in the recently adopted budget. Community action is adaptable and flexible to the unique needs of the diverse regions of Virginia and the different service delivery networks. We inventory community needs and implement solutions to fill gaps in service delivery with partners. During the pandemic, many community action agencies delivered and are still delivering emergency relief through new and time-limited state and federal funding sources. Community action agencies were on the front lines of saying yes under extraordinary circumstances. It did so quickly and effectively, which has forged new partnerships across the state to better coordinate service delivery. As we enter this new phase of the pandemic, VACAP and our network are facing challenges in staff recruitment and retention like many businesses and nonprofits and governments. We're also facing inflation that is acutely impacting those we serve. However, our network is strong and is seeing opportunity to move beyond some of the emergency relief programs and focus more on the strategic investments in long-term thinking that changes the trajectory of whole families that the commissioner just spoke about. Thanks to the investment of the executive branch and General Assembly and the 6-agency whole family pilot, Virginia is being spotlighted nationally for focusing on evidence-based practices and providing coaches to whole families. Community Action believes in moving beyond just a focus on programs and towards achieving the outcome of moving whole families from poverty to prosperity. We've been a national leader in Virginia in focusing on metrics and looking at how we observe and cut across the silos in the discussion that was talked about earlier. I'm really glad that you'll hear directly from our VACAP officers and members today about the work they do and the innovative spirit their teams and partners bring to serving Virginians. Thank you so much for your leadership and support and time today.
Thank you. Our next speaker, yes, Delegate Kruzak.
Is now an appropriate time to ask a question?
We're going to have the discussion at the end. So
Okay.
we're going to hear from, I believe, 3 more members of that organization. So hopefully our questions will be answered along the way, but if not, we'll be able to ask then. Next speaker is Annette Lewis, who is the chair of the board of directors for the Virginia Community Action Partnership and is also president of Total Action for Progress in the beautiful Roanoke Valley.
Well, thank you, Senator Suderlin and Chairman Suderlin and committee members, and certainly you know about the Roanoke Valley and how beautiful it is. As stated, I'm Annette Lewis, President and CEO of Total Action for Progress, better known as TAP, headquartered in Roanoke. We serve 11 jurisdictions, and they're all listed in my speech, as well as 25 other locations across the state, and happy to do so. We serve everyone from infants and toddlers in the Head Start program to youth mentoring services. When the Big Brothers Big Sisters closed its doors, they asked TAP if we would take over that program, and we did. We do dropout prevention, college access, workforce development. During the pandemic, we trained 400 healthcare professionals so that they could be working during this difficult period of time. We don't normally do emergency services, but due to the pandemic, we got involved in that, and 12,000 meals served. And you see all of that in the document that I have left for you, or that you have been given. I do want to just say that community action is very flexible in addressing the needs of the communities in which we are in. We do community needs assessments and several of the things that TAP has been involved in. And I forgot to mention, I'm the chair of the VACAP board. But one of the things I did not mention in my speech is that we serve on committees and boards to address emerging issues. We're working with eviction prevention, and we have a a lack of safe and affordable housing for poor people, and we're trying to address that issue in our community. We are trying to make sure that our community is trauma-informed so that we are not just sending people from one place to the next, but we're really trying to help them address their needs as conveniently and smoothly as possible. But I want to mention something in my speech about gun violence and how we are, everyone, facing that across our country, and how we serve on a gun violence commission. I hope you will take the time to read the testimony of this young man who graduated from high school. We work with at-risk youth. We had a youth symposium and asked these at-risk youth about guns, how they got them, why they have them. And we have a program that's working well at TAP to help these young people change their minds about safety and security and providing and protecting their families and staying in school, graduating, and have a brighter future ahead of them because we are working with them to help them change their minds. So I hope you take time to read that, his essay that he wrote at graduation, and we're so proud of the success that he has. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis. Our next speaker is Kevin Odie, the Vice Chairman of the Virginia Community Action Partnership and also the Chief Operating Officer of the Hampton Roads Community Action Program.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. As you stated, my name is Kevin O.T., and I do serve as the Vice Chair. I represent the Hampton Roads Community Action Program headquartered in Newport News, Virginia. Our agency serves over about 10,000 individuals annually, providing evidence-based programs that are innovative, adaptable, and provide transformational pathways out of poverty. I provided a copy of our annual report so that you could see our true impact statements about the work. But just as some various highlights, you can see that our Head Start program served over 1,300 families in the last fiscal year. We've served over 300 households that were with veterans and making sure that we provided rapid rehousing services. Our workforce programs made sure that over 100 individuals received jobs with an average of about $14.50. Over the year through the pandemic, over 878 families were served using various dollars to prevent evictions and utility disconnects notices. But one of the key areas that our agency has been really focused on, as you heard, was the whole family pilot program. And we were able to utilize the CSBG funding dollars as well as the current dollars from the state to be able to serve over 24 families or 75 individuals. And we've seen an individual household increase or an average of more than 35% or 18,500 since been enrolled into this program. So that does answer some of the questions about having a uniformed whole family coach, because that coach can provide services not only internally, but also can connect to other departments, other programs, other agencies that are connected in the human service area and not have to deal with barriers. And so they can go and provide the resources and the connections so that when they go to that resource, they're not alone. They have a coach that can help them to fill out the applications and be able to provide the services that they need so they don't have to feel that extra burden to have to go and talk to someone else about the trauma that they've already been enforced. We've also seen an average credit score from those same exact families that I mentioned, an average increase of over 75 points as a result of credit improvement coaching. Our Whole Family Approach program has been recognized across the country by the Annie Casey Foundation, the National Community Action Partnership, and other private foundations. And so our program is successful because of the technical assistance and all of the work that the Office of Economic Opportunity is doing with the Virginia Department of Social Services. And so we've had various client experiences, and I have those in my annual report, but one I wanted to share was Ashina, who was in our program. She was coming from various perspectives and was looking for home ownership. And through a referral from her coach to our housing team, a certified financial coach worked with her to improve her credit and also connect with employment services that were now leading to pre-qualifications for a home. So those are just some various key aspects of how whole family really can move people into self-sufficiency. So today I'm proud to share with you our printed copy and look forward to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sean. Sean is a board member on the Southeast Rural Community Assistance Project Incorporated, which is also based in the beautiful Roanoke Valley.
Roanoke Valley, yes, sir.
And also, if you didn't get to see, I really appreciate how you put together the programs that were in the different members' districts, and you can see just, the rural mission, how much of it affects my district in the southwestern portion of Virginia, and then Senator Lucas, who represents southeastern Virginia, but several rural communities there as well. So thank you for putting that together, and appreciate your testimony today.
If I was a different man, I'd take a full credit, but I'm going to let Ms. Cupid have full credit for that.
Thank you.
I was prepared to give a nice little 12-minute speech about how the power of CERCAP, but knowing that time is of the essence, I will be brief. I am Sean Utt, Vice Chair of the CERCAP Board of Directors, and thank you for the time given to us to provide some input. CERCAP's a 501c3 nonprofit formed in 1969 under Virginia Water Project. Current mission is to improve the quality of life for low-income individuals by promoting affordable water and wastewater facilities, community development, environmental health, and economic self-sufficiency. So CERCAP has a variety of programs. We've grown, I'm proud to say that we've grown from a small program in Roanoke to a 7-state region, and we provide a plethora of programs, whether it's water, loans, help folks for wells and septics. In the past program year, CERCAP served over 76,000 individuals, brought in over $1.5 million in revenue to the state, and leveraged an additional $2 million in Virginia alone. As you can understand, focus on safe drinking water comes in a variety of ways. So I do have a few example projects in addition to Mr. Chairman's list. For instance, in Bedford County, through the Regional Technical Assistance Program, we provided direct assistance to the Montvale Water Company, which is a small private water provider, to conduct their water sampling, conduct readings, and filling the chemical storage tanks to make sure the overall operation continues while their chief operator was out on medical leave. In Southampton County, through our Facilities Development Grant Program, we provided $35,000 to assist the Newsom CDBG project to give engineering services for stormwater mitigation and wastewater collection system rehab. That project was in the 21-22 timeframe. Craig County, we, again, through the Facilities Development Grant Program, we provided $21,400 to assist the Craig Newcastle Public Service Authority to extend water line to serve over 100 households who were previously on private wells that were failing. That was in 2019-2020 timeframe. And finally, in Amherst County, we have a loan fund program that goes straight to households who are in need of whether it's septic system repairs or well replacements. And that was a $2,000 well loan to cover the cost of that well replacement. As you understand, this is a small sampling of what we provide to Virginia through the CSBG funding, and we appreciate all the funding provided. I'd be glad to answer any questions. If I don't know them, I can either make them up or ask Ms. Hope to answer.
Thank you very much. And I remember Delight McNamara and I got to hear about the Newcastle project from our friend Jordan Labiosa on council there. Our next one on the list is Terry Lewis, also with the same organization.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and subcommittee members. It is indeed an honor for me to appear before you today to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've conducted in the southeast area of the state. And I'm sorry that Senator Lucas isn't here because Senator Lucas and I worked on some projects in the areas of southeast, including ones in Surrey County, Isle of Wight County, Southampton County, and of course the city of Portsmouth. Senator,
See you though.
I'm sorry.
I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you are.
Thank you.
All right. And Senator Lucas, in fact, did recommend me for appointment to the Board of Directors of Southeast Archival. And I've been serving on that board for, I guess, over more than 20 years, well, more than 20, probably about 30 years now, and served as the chairman of the Board of Directors for probably about 12 years.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you. I've also served as the county administrator for the county of Surrey, and I retired from that position after about 20 years serving as the county administrator, and that followed 10 years as the planning director for Surrey County, which followed several years as planning director for Isle of Wight County. And I'm happy to report that we were able to use funding under the Community Development Project Program to actually make improvements in neighborhoods within the communities within those localities, as well as some others personally I can talk about throughout the state of Virginia. And let me just back up to say that Southeast RCAP not only serves the state of Virginia, but also we provide services to localities in the communities within Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, the state of Virginia, of course, Maryland, and Delaware. We work primarily in rural communities, so it's very rare that we provide any services at all within urban communities. So the funding that we receive from the state are used to service communities in the state of Virginia. And in the other states that we serve, we may receive fundings from those states that help us to provide services to communities within those states. But let me just take a moment, if I may, to talk about a couple of areas within the state of Virginia that I'm proud to say to illustrate the kinds of services that we provide and the funding that we use in the state of Virginia to assist individuals here. The first off is a locality in Bedford County. And in that particular case, we assisted a populated trailer park to come under compliance with the State Department of Health regarding drinking water regulation. And in that particular case, that project was conducted in the mid-2019s to date, and to the late 2020. In Isle of Wight County, we used facilities grant project of $32,000 in assistance to assist the Willing Workers Water Project with a new well and piping to divide systems into two smaller separate systems to come out from under the Community Water System Waterworks regulation. And that funding we utilized in 2021 to 2022. And I can also personally talk about another project in Isle of Wight County, which is the Thomas Park neighborhood. And that was a community of about 50 or more houses. And those houses, many of them in that neighborhood, prior to our assistance, could not have indoor plumbing, could not have a septic tank system because the houses were constructed on lots that were too small for it to hold both a water system, a well, a private well, individual well, along with a septic tank system. But we were able to utilize community development funding to actually go in and construct a central water system and to provide connections of individual houses to that water system. And by so doing, those lots were then able to place a septic tank on the lot of the land that remained. And I'm also happy to say that we actually used funding to bring those houses under a water system, fire hydrant system that improve the improvement of fire safety within the community. Also in that community, we utilize funding to construct roads, highways throughout the community, because prior to that, the houses were all located on dirt roads. So that was a tremendous improvement to that neighborhood, if I may say, and it actually helped to keep those 50 or so housing available to individuals so that they did not have to move out of that neighborhood to find housing somewhere else. In Fauquier County, we used a facilities development block grant project of about $32,000 to provide technical and financial assistance to help the Brook Cluster Housing Association replace a 2,000-gallon hydro pneumatic water storage tank that extended the they were, experiencing failure with the water system prior to that time. That again helped low individual to moderate income people to be able to remain in that community and again have public water available. In Montgomery County, we had a loan fund project which allowed individuals that had individual incomes of $15,000, utilized $15,000 to help to install an individual household well loan for drilling a new well for houses to replace dry wells. And that project was completed in 2022. So this is just a small sample of how we have utilized community development block grant funding to assist rural communities in the state of Virginia. And at this time, I would just like to ask if there are any questions. I'll be happy to respond to them. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Lucas.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Terry for all of his years of service to rural Virginia. And I have enjoyed working with him for the better part of 30 years. I think it might have been a little bit more than that. It dates back to STOP. When I was the executive director of the STOP organization, which was the largest community action agency in the state. So I've enjoyed working with Terry and all of the stakeholders. And actually, it was my work with the community action agencies that got me interested in running for the Senate. So there you have it.
All right. And we thank you, Senator Lucas, for all the help that you've been to us through the years and your help to the state of Virginia. We certainly are honored by it and thank you for it.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Our next speaker is the wonderful lady who put together the things highlighting all the good work in Southwest Virginia and Hampton Roads both. Hope, we appreciate you being here. And for the record, also, Hope is the president and CEO.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I also want you all to know that you have an annual report, and this is just one page. I'm not going to go over. You can look at all the things that we've done in the state of Virginia. Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, it is an honor, and I'm going to take this off so you can hear me better. It is an honor to appear before you today. My name is Hope Cupid. I work for Southeast RCAP. So I don't like to always say I'm the CEO because that's a role, and I am the person that works there to provide rural America with what they need. Today I want to speak to you about economic development. We've heard about water. I didn't hear a lot of moving around about that, but water is important, but economic development is as well. And our organization has started a program called the Business Service Program at SERCAP. And there we provide one-on-one business training services, live webinars on business training topics, and online platforms. We started this when COVID hit because we realized there were a lot of companies, especially minority companies, that were lost. So we started this. We have a wonderful person by the name of Brian Brown. He used to work for Buena Vista on the IDA program, and he also used to work in Halifax. So now he works for us. This is one of the most popular services we have. We offer one-on-one consulting services. We have 3 new one-on-one clients that were just recently added, and all 3 businesses were women-owned. 2 were minorities. Since August of 2021, our SIRCAP small business program served 19 small businesses, 10 of which were minority-owned. We provide 309 hours of technical services along with that. And I want to let you all know that I'm very proud of this because this is something new we worked with, and we also fund this with CSBG funding. And Wells Fargo provided us with money as an aside to this. So let me tell you a story. Brian was working with a young lady by the name of Catherine Werderman. She worked for the public works sector, but Catherine noticed that there was a burden recycling glass puts on community landfills and got the idea to start a business turning that glass into a variety of items, such as artistic sand, pool filtration, bedding for water and sewer projects. I had to throw in that because that's what we do, and many more things. To bring her plan from fantasy to reality, Ms. Werderman needed to produce a concrete business plan and projections before public resources could even be allocated to her project. We helped her because she was referred to SIRCAP to provide assistance with her with small business planning services. SIRCAP was able to provide business consulting services for the development of her business plan. SIRCAP provided her with over 25 hours of research and consulting, as well as providing access to planning tools so that she can have her business plan at no charge. Since she was armed with new detailed business plan and a strategy to bring her glass product to market, she was able to secure $15,000 from the city of Buena Vista, the revolving loan fund, towards purchase of critical equipment. She was able to apply for the Gauntlet Business Program. Are you aware of that, Senator Sutherland? You know where that's at? That's in Benton, Virginia. That's where that was held. And it was held this year on May the 25th. And guess what? She won the Platinum Gauntlet Award with our help. She received the highest honor in that series. The achievement came with a package of over $10,000. The package included $4,000 in cash and also $6,000 in kind. So let me tell you about this. When that started, there were 153 entrepreneurs, only 68 advanced. She was one of those. And with this training and all of this, she was able to go to community college and have other complementary services. So we were able to help this young lady who lived in rural America to start her own business. And this is something that we're very proud of and would love to speak to you more about that. If you have any questions, you can ask us later. Thank you, Senator Sutherland.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the highlights of all these good things that are happening in rural Virginia as well. So often folks hear social services and think it happens only in densely populated areas, and we're doing a lot of good, important things for folks across this large Commonwealth and rural areas. And we don't score the individual remarks, but mentioning Roanoke County's only town is fantastic. I hear there are other counties. And Montgomery County is another wonderful county too. But Craig and Wythe and Carroll and Floyd and Franklin, and then also Fairfax and Loudoun, and I think Fauquier and Prince William. And I think I've got most of the committee covered, Amherst as well. And our next speaker is Carlos Clanton, Vice President for Organizational Advancement and Workforce Development at STOP Incorporated.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I will take your advice and not read the actual statement that's been presented, but I will give you a perspective. My name, again, is Carlos Clanton. I'm the Vice President of Organizational Advancement and Workforce Development for STOP Incorporated, which has been serving the communities of Chesapeake, Franklin, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, and the counties of Isle of Wight and Southampton. So you got 2 more. And I want to give you 3 different perspectives here today, and particularly in regards to our mobile telehealth clinic. Community Action does a community needs assessment that's done every 3 years, where we actually go in and ask the individuals that we serve, how are we serving you and how might we best serve you going forward? And in result of that, we actually learned that in rural communities, access to health care sometimes is a challenge. And so as a result of that, Stop Incorporated launched its mobile telehealth clinic, and that rolled out right in the middle of the pandemic. One of those other areas is that, particularly where I am located in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, and we have a lot of military, a lot of individuals who've come out of the services and find themselves on hard times. And so I do wanted to share this one about Greg M. Greg M. Is a Navy veteran who found himself homeless, living in his car, scrapping for $10, just so that he could afford his gym membership, so that he could take showers. He suffered from complications of diabetes, and was further thwarting his quality of life and his ability to find stable employment. Greg knew he needed assistance, and if he wanted to change his current situation, he found that help in Stop Inc.'s SSVF Vet Reconnect program, where we rapidly rehoused him. One of the things I just want to leave you from Greg and his testimony in that one was that he stated this, quote, "Stop Inc. cut out all the red tape, got me what I needed, and it saved my life." I also want to share with you that as I'm speaking about these things here, that one of the other things that we looked at is our Work Forward program, which is workforce development. And one of the things I'm doing now is standing that up. But I want to share in a little respect that what you're also seeing here is something else that Community Action does. I'm a product of Head Start. I was a product of a single-parent home. My mother was 18 years old when she decided to have me. She didn't graduate high school. She went later and got her GED. And as I was going through and preparing the paperwork and beginning this new workforce development program, I ran across a program at STOP. It was a program from 1991 where my mother had graduated from our nursing program. She went on to work for Centera for a number of years. And so I find it full circle moment that I can come back, a graduate of college, graduated from high school, and that what we talk about in Community Action is that it's not a handout, it's a hand up. It's about making sure that we support individuals in our communities so that they can become what they want to be, so that we can give them opportunities and educate them about the many different services and abilities that they can do. So I share all that with you here today in that respect, that it's full circle. And that Community Action is working, and that the work and the support that you all put forth, that you support in working with all of our different agencies, helps communities and helps lives. And as we say, this is a great opportunity to continue to help individuals in all of our communities, whether it's rural, suburban, or urban. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I say thank you and look forward to your supporting the continuation of the Community Services Block Grant and supporting the work here as we partner together. But I do want to say this, one last thing. I heard earlier when we were talking about working together, I wanted to raise the point about Unite Us. And I think, Delegate, you had mentioned about the respect of working together. So Human Services, various different agencies, and the state put money into Unite Us to be able to bring that program up so that we could do just that. When individuals come in at a foreign point in, that they can communicate with other agencies and groups to be able to get them the necessary supports that they need, and again, cut the red tape. So I just wanted to bring that point there, and again, to share that real life experience, that what we're doing and what you support here today is indeed changing lives here in the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you very much for that. I especially appreciated the personal story. That was wonderful. Senator Bell.
I've got a question for you, sir, and this kind of goes to Ms. Annette Lewis, who spoke earlier. On the workforce development side, in her written remarks, I noticed this is an outstanding number. She said out of the workforce development, they educated and trained 772 youth and adults. 653 were able to obtain employment. That's 84%. So I get to both of you, since it's kind of in that area. There was a young lady I dealt with a few days ago. She was very excited. She got a new job, paid her $17 an hour, gross. The problem was she has a young child. She then discovered her child care was going to be $15, so which is a pretty big challenge. Is there anything, or can we do anything, or you have any ideas about that issue? Because I think the idea of a hand up versus a handout, if you want to go get a job, but it's going to cost you that much for child care, it's really tough to get started and to do anything about that. Appreciate it.
I'll definitely say in the respect, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that we are able to utilize TANF dollars and other programming to support with childcare, to support with transportation, so that while individuals are receiving workforce development or training, we also do what we consider, you all may have heard the term soft skills, but we really look at it in the respect of durable skills, so that individuals can, we teach them about more than just, how to go in and do an interview, but how to manage money. One of the things that we see in many cases is individuals who have been on certain supportive services for so long, but we call it those cliffs. And so they get to a point now where they're making more money, and it's that fear of losing those particular services and supports. So I think it's a whole, when we talk about the whole family concept and supporting, we do many different things, and it's not just that point of when you come in to receive a service, but it's also that continuation in building relationships with individuals throughout.
Thank you. Senator,
Mr.
do you have a
Chairman?
follow-up?
Mr. Chairman?
One
Louise
second.
Lucas here.
One second, Senator Lucas. Senator Bell, do you have a follow-up question to that?
I just wanted to ask, I don't want to stand in the way of our beloved colleague on the virtual, but if Ms. Lewis, I don't know if she was stepping forward, if she wanted to add anything to that, if we could.
All right, so Senator Lucas, I'm going to let Ms. Lewis was walking up to the podium at that moment.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to go right back to Senator Lucas. So, Ms.
Yeah,
Lewis.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just ditto that, but I would also say that in our whole family focus, we focus on the child and the parent. And we've had 2 very successful federal grants that focus on the support system that the person in training needs. And so they could be involved in our Head Start program. The child could be in Head Start, or we help them find another after-school program so the child could be taken care of while they're in training or while they're working. So that whole family focus is geared at making sure both are taken care of. So we do have those support services. We could use more, but that is what we focus on.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank both of them for the work they're doing, and going forward, anything you can provide in this area, because I think, putting people in this situation, if we provide child care support while they're in training and development, then we take that away when they get to a job, particularly they're starting at the bottom of the rung, they may make more money, frankly, on aid than they would working with the child care, health care, et cetera. So I think we need to think about policies that make sense, that give people that chance to succeed, where frankly, they always do better working than not working. So anything you provide that, I would sure appreciate it.
Correct, and that cliff effect is a real one. Whereas people move up, get that job, get paid more, get benefits, they lose something. And that would take legislative work. It's something we would like to work on. But what we do our level best is to make sure they make well enough and they budget. We do financial literacy to help them in the selection of the child care that they're going to make. But child care is extremely, extremely expensive. But so maybe you'll hear us come back about the cliff effect and see what we can do about it.
Well, thank you very much for that. And Senator Lucas?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am so sorry that my colleagues and all of the stakeholders there can't see me on a monitor, but I am here and I'm listening with quite a bit of interest to all of these conversations. And I just want to say to Carlos how proud I am of how he has developed at the STOP organization. And as you know, that was the last job I had before I became a state senator. And so I just want him to pass on to the CEO, Regina Lawrence, and all of my former colleagues there, that I am so proud of the work that they're doing, and I know STOP is in good hands. So congratulations, Carlos, you're doing a fine job.
Well, thank you, Senator Lucas. And just so you know, we do get to see you, and so does the crowd when you're on the Zoom, so we get to see your bright smile, and we appreciate that.
Well, my daughter just walked in, and she's now a director on the STOP board. She's she's a member of the Portsmouth City Council, so she is the Portsmouth representative to the STOP board. So we're keeping our involvement ongoing.
Very good, very good. And Delegate Krizek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a question maybe for everybody, but for the commissioner perhaps, and if you want to delegate it out, that's fine. First I want to say the one thing I'm always impressed with community action is the flexibility and is the leveraging. And I think it's really bears highlighting that, you know, you're getting, what is it, $13.95, you know, for every dollar from the state. So that's $176 million you're leveraging. That's pretty impressive, and that you can't, you know, I think I'd like to toot your horn on that one, and everybody that's involved. And the fact that it's coming from the community and from the nonprofits, and it's a tripartite kind of arrangement there. Everybody, it's a great partnership. And my question is regarding COVID and all of the new, your new challenges that has presented, and it's probably it's probably been a big challenge, even for the flexible community action as it is, as flexible as it is. Has there been any lessons learned from that, and that any takeaways for going forward, and how prepared was community action for? I mean, I know that none of us saw this coming, of course, but it seems to me that you haven't missed a beat, and what's happening out there. Going into emergency services, for example, is something new and something that shows some, again, flexibility, and also a need that needed to be addressed and that you were ready to jump into. So is there anything you wanted to expand upon on that, perhaps? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I mean, I think one of the things that was amazing was how nimble community action was to help get the word out and even deliver emergency benefits in many cases. So I think, you know, because community action is so connected and ingrained in low-income, vulnerable populations, they serve a really important conduit to those communities. And so I think from a future planning and response, I think we do think how do we leverage community action more quickly and effectively to touch those families. So that's the thing that immediately comes to mind. Matt, I don't know if you'd add anything to that, or Fran.
Thank you, Delegate. So one thing definitely on a lessons learned immediately. So community action did a fantastic job of immediately coming in and starting to work. But one of the things was bridging the digital divide, because there was so many things that had to be done for virtual services. And agencies did a lot to make sure that they got the resources into families' hands so that they could work with them virtually. There's been a lot of new techniques that have been learned, especially in the mental health realm, for one, using licensed clinical social workers to work with families and being able to do that virtually. So I think there's been a lot of lessons learned and a lot that already are being used to make changes in community action in that flexible way that they work.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if Eric has anything to add to in virtual land, but he's thinking about these things a lot as well.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I would just add on the pandemic, my previous role was DHCD director, and really within a couple weeks, the community action agencies worked really hard to stand up emergency rent relief. And I do think one of the main reasons that Virginia was one of the top states in delivering rent relief was because of the quick action of the General Assembly and executive branch, along with people like community action standing up and saying we will deliver resources quickly. And I do think as those resources, some of those federal resources go away, there's a lot of lessons learned that the community action is implementing. With your investments, like the TANF investments, there's a lot of opportunity to work on eviction prevention, workforce, all the areas you've heard. And so it's a great question about kind of taking a status of what happened with the pandemic.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question
Thank you.
from Mr. Johnson, if I could.
Yes, Senator Bell.
Eric, thanks for being online today, and I hope you feel better very quickly. It sounds like you're doing good, so hopefully that continues. My question is, and I sent this to you, I'm thinking it's under the VCAP partner with 28 private public community action agencies. Are all of those subject to an annual audit?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Bell. All 28, so the 28 are the private nonprofit agencies that serve regionally, and then there's the 6 public agencies. I'm sorry, there's 28 statewide, and so 6 of those are public that are part of the government audits. In terms of the audit requirements, I believe all the private do have an annual audit requirement given the amount of funds they're delivering. But Matt or the DSS staff can correct me if I'm wrong there.
I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking in the room just that you can't see, but thank you for that, because I think that for us to provide the good stewardship of the funds, I think that's a really important point to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is the Board Chairman of Project Discovery, Dr. Jack Lanier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Jack Lanier, President of the Project Discovery of Virginia Board of Directors, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the board and Project Discovery of Virginia. Project Discovery of Virginia was started in 1979 in response to college matriculation rates at a very low level. It's been in operation now for about 4 decades, and it serves over 100 schools and 51 school districts across the Commonwealth of Virginia. I was pleased to hear that you're interested in data, so what I'd like to do very brief is to share with you some of the data resulting from this program, which is designed, its mission is to prepare underrepresented students with an appropriate academic plan and life skills to access post-high school educational opportunities. In 2016, we commissioned a longitudinal study with James Madison University. I want to share with you some of the findings from this program. Project Discovery has been providing post-secondary education access for over 4 decades. Currently, the program is administered through 22 partner agencies throughout the Commonwealth, and the evaluation assesses multiple aspects of Project Discovery's programming to determine the effects of program attitudes on the central emphasis. There are 4 specific emphases that we have in this longitudinal study. Participants of students and parents, their attitudes toward understanding the avenues that lead to post-secondary education. Also, the student's readiness to apply to post-secondary education institutions. The student's likelihood to enroll in a post-secondary institution after graduating high school, and students' likelihood to earn credit in a post-secondary institution within 16 months of high school. I want to share with you some of the outcomes from the efforts of Project Discovery of Virginia. 18% of our enrolled students come from low-income families. 15% are first-generation college students. 59% are both low-income and first-generation college students, and 73% enrolled in college within 16 months after graduating. And I think it's also important for us to appreciate the gender. You heard about the demographics or the geographic location of the different programs, but I want to share with you that of 1,800 students enrolled in the program, this is pre-pandemic, 75% were female, 25% were male, and we had, there are 6 different categories in terms of ethnicity, ranging from Native Americans, Asian, African American, Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders, Hispanic, white, and others. In terms of the economic composition of these students, 19% of the graduates are low income, qualifying for free or reduced lunch. I've been operating a community action agency myself, and I know that, for example, Charles City County is one of the most challenged counties in terms of the economic status of the population. 13% of the students are first generation, and neither parent graduated from college. I happen to be one of those products myself, even though not from the Commonwealth, but from the great state of North Carolina. 61% fall into both categories, and 7% fell into neither category. So increasingly, 37% of Project Discovery students enroll in advanced placement or dual enroll classes at a rate that is comparable or exceed those of non-Project Discovery students. This compares to only 22% of the general population. The graduating class of 2018 served 522 students. 57% of those students went on to enroll in institutions of higher education, directly out of high school. 90% of those students were still enrolled after the first semester, and that's a tremendous metric by which to gauge the success of the program. Project Discovery's effectiveness and efficiency was sustained by the Madison Center for Community Development at James Madison University. That study is ongoing. As I mentioned, it was commissioned in 2016. The ongoing study shows that 68% of Project Discovery students earned a degree within 6 years, as opposed to the national average of only 37% of their socioeconomic peers. There are other statistics included in my report, which I will not repeat for you, but I'll be happy to respond to any questions at the appropriate time. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to represent Project Discovery of Virginia, which has been operating for over 4 decades, serving thousands of students who are first generations to go to college. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the report and comments there. Our next speaker is Marshall Williams, who's a case manager for Virginia Cares program with People Incorporated.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Today, I wanted to present to you some information about Virginia Cares. And what we've heard today is a lot of people are based out of the lovely place of Roanoke. So I'm going to digress to you today to let you know I'm actually with Virginia Cares as a case manager in Northern Virginia. So I take care of the Valley of PD 16, which covers Caroline County, King George, Northern Virginia, Manassas, Prince William, and also the start parting of Fredericksburg. So what we wanted to do today is we wanted to make sure that how important is this block funding? With me as a case manager, I do a lot of services providing to returning citizens. Those returning citizens are the ones that are incarcerated, our second citizens. With that being said, I have to find out what are those specific needs that they have to have moving forward. A lot of information that was given to individuals, they don't get that information. We assume that they know that these particular services are given to them when they come out, and do we actually know that they're being served? And we want to make sure today with the wraparound services that we supply with Virginia Cares that they're getting those specific needs. One of the great things that I heard today was we talk about the holistic approach. With this being said, we do pre-release inside of the institutions. I am a statewide provider for both of the two nonprofits and through the Department of Corrections. By doing those pre-release, we kind of sit down with the individuals to find out what are those specific needs that they're going to get when they come out. And more than anything, I tell a lot of my individuals that I work with, don't burn your bridges. Because a lot of times we want to get back with those family individuals that we work with. We want to make sure that they're getting those things from those families because sometimes that is their only onset of getting with someone. So we stand beside them, having that family reunification, making sure that these individuals are getting the things that they need to get the needs of housing, going back to school, education, job opportunities. These are so important. A lot of the time, the mindset of the individuals that we work with that are returning citizens, they think there's no one there to actually help them. We want to make sure that they know once they step out of a jail or an institution that there is someone there that's going to give them the opportunity to have that second chance. What we fail to realize sometimes, if we would just take a step back, the individuals that we work with, they walk out that door and they're faced with, does someone see me as an individual who's been incarcerated? They actually wear that label when they walk out. And I try to let them know that when you're working with someone, when you see someone, when you walk out the door, if you're suited, how do you know that that individual has been incarcerated? We don't. So being specific about letting them know that there's hope out there for them so many individuals we work with, there's an 80% recidivism rate that we have started working with. And by saying that, these guys and these women are not going back. They're getting that job opportunity. They're getting that educational value. They're getting that home and those things that they need holistically as a service provider. We're giving back to them. Why is this grant important? Also because of the law that's just been passed. We're looking at the earned sentence credit through the Department of Corrections. And with that being said, 4,000 to 4,500 individuals are being released from our institutions here in the state of Virginia between July 1st and August 30th. That's how important these services are. Because as we know, these individuals that are being let out, they don't have that service. So they don't get that reentry service while they were incarcerated. But we want to make sure that we're giving them those services when they get home. So we started developing what we have all across the state reentry. We have reentry teams. With those reentry teams, we're able to go to different localities and help those individuals moving forward. We bring them to the meetings. We find out specifics of what is it that you have to have when you want to be successful. We find out there's a lot of voids as well. Because to give someone a job 2 or 3 times over, sometimes that might be an issue. So let's find out what that void is. Do you need more education? Do you need more factors of going back to school, getting a skill set, getting those soft things that will be attainable for you to get jobs and be successful moving forward? So I wanted to let you know how important that is today and why we are here speaking to you, our delegates and our senators, to let you know this is of importance, not for just our returning citizens, but for the old adage where we say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a community to have those to come forward to say, I've been helped. I am moving forward to be successful. So my name is Marshall Williams. I'm the case manager for PD 16 in Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania County. If you have any questions further, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to leave these with you guys just in case you don't have our new information moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker on the agenda is Sabrina Archie, who's a client with Virginia Cares of People Incorporated.
So first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here to give you an insight and a different perspective of the Virginia Cares program as somebody who was a returning incarcerated person, someone who these resources were never made available to previously. Being able to get connected through District 21 probation and parole to the Virginia Cares program, being able to utilize that program, how important it is to people like me, it not only opened my eyes to a different outlook coming out of the incarceration, but it saved my life. I now have 7 years clean and sober. I own my own company. I am now looking forward to helping the Virginia Cares program with meetings like this for funding and other peer counseling along the way to help people know that there is hope. There is other options than being reincarcerated. And I want to say thank you to the Virginia Cares program and to the funding that you guys provide to people like us so that we do get that second chance, and to let you know how important it is for people to be able to receive that second chance. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Archie. We appreciate you providing that input, and we're glad things are going so well for you. Thanks for being here today. That concludes our agenda of speakers. I am going to entertain public comment. We will, to make sure that we continue on our pace, because I think things are going well, we will limit public comment to 2 minutes per speaker. And I believe our clerk's staff has that set up. Do we have someone in the queue, sir?
If you are in the Zoom room and you wish to speak, would you please raise your hand electronically? If you're in the Zoom room and you wish to speak, would you please raise your hand electronically? Mr. Chair, we do not have any speakers at this time.
Great. I could have said you have 2 hours, but glad we didn't. So thank you very much for that, and appreciate all the folks we've heard from. We have one item of business remaining, and that will be the actual vote. Before we take that vote, though, we're going to open this up to the committee. This is the last opportunity before we will be taking a vote to ask questions or make comments on anything you heard today or in your previous preparation for today's meeting. So I'll open this up now. Senator Eben.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, is the vote to adopt the community services block grant state plan prepared by the Department of Office of Community Services?
Senator Eben, it will depend on what the motion that's made will be, but the motion that I would anticipate would be one that the subcommittee adopt the recommendation that has been put before us.
Okay, I wouldn't make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have that motion before us. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Did you get a second, Mr. Chairman?
We did. Thank you, Senator Lucas. I think it was Senator Bell seconded Senator Eben's motion. All right, seeing no discussion, the motion is before us to adopt the recommendation that's been presented by the Department of Social Services. As many as favor of that vote will vote aye.
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 And anyone that wishes to dissent will vote no. All right. The chair rules that passed on a unanimous voice vote. And that completes our business today, and we will now adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for the helpful comments and the preparation beforehand that helped make this meeting go so efficiently.